Hello, hello. I'm so excited for today's episode. This episode aligns perfectly with my other, I would call sister episode in Spanish that I just recorded called Mírenla, ahí va una mujer sin filtro. If you are bilingual, I would love for you to check that one out. You're going to see a lot of similarities and resonance between this episode and that one. And if you're on YouTube, then you'll notice that I'm also wearing the same outfit. And I did that very purposefully. I did consider changing outfits, even though I'm recording these back to back. But I actually think that in the spirit of this conversation and what this episode is all about, which is going to be the lessons learned about how successful women can change their mind and can change plans and are not afraid to choose themselves publicly. Well, here I am, just unapologetically recording these two back to back episodes, same day, same look, and really very similar message. So, again, check that one out if you are bilingual and would enjoy an episode in Spanish. So, what am I here to talk about today? What do I mean by there they go, canceling their sold out tours? This episode is not a rant about how I unfortunately will not be able to see neither Pink nor Meghan Trainor live, even though I thought I would and I had tickets for it. That's not really what this episode is about. Of course, I was disappointed. And so, for context, I had scheduled both a Pink concert, my very first Pink concert ever, and my very first Meghan Trainor concert ever, both this year. The Pink concert was going to be in Mexico City in April. And the Meghan Trainor concert that I had chosen was a concert in Seattle because that is where my current bestie, Suvin, shout out to Suvin, is living. And so I was going to make a trip out of that as well to visit her and go check out Meghan Trainor. So why did I choose both of these women? These are the only concerts that I had chosen all of for the year, at least planned ahead of time. And when I say planned ahead of time, like I had bought these tickets in 2025. And for the Mexico City tour for Pink, I was very excited. I had actually coordinated with a colleague of mine from the corporate career who's also a friend of mine outside of work. We've become really close throughout the years. So I was really excited to also make it a trip with her. So specifically Pink and Meghan, these are two really strong, powerful singer-songwriters, performers. And I'm very, very inspired by both of them. They are very different, I would say. They have very different, maybe genres and styles. But honestly, they are both really strong when it comes to female empowerment and when it comes to being themselves, choosing themselves, moving forward despite criticism. And oh man, it's just so powerful what each of these singers have to show us. And I just can't believe that it just so happens that both of these women, both of these concerts that I was going to go to got canceled. I think, universe is definitely saying something there for one reason or another. And it just felt like this is too much of a coincidence, and I had to make a whole podcast episode about it. At least this is the meaning that I took away from it. So I had very intentionally selected both of these powerhouse women and both of their concerts for this year because they were so inspirational to the foundation of There She Goes, right? So not just as a podcast, so following my dreams and moving forward despite any fear of criticism, any fear of putting myself out there and expressing myself publicly, but also the show itself is inspired by music. It's inspired by both the creatives on the scene and on the stage, as well as the creative behind the scenes. It's inspired by musicals. It's inspired by Disney. It's inspired by pop culture. And more than anything, taking these themes that we can learn from lyrics, from pop culture, from all these different elements and tying it into the life lessons here. So this is the perfect representation and perfect episodes for me to tie those life lessons from two on stage artist, millions of followers, very, very famous. So for Pink, although it's not confirmed, exactly why she, had to cancel that tour, it did say that unforeseen circumstances. That tour was a sold out show. So she didn't necessarily cancel the whole tour. I believe she's still having a show in San Diego. However, that round of 2 shows in Mexico City completely sold out. Okay. Like, I was very excited to have gotten tickets. And so that's a big decision for whatever the reason that show got canceled. At the end of the day, that is never an easy decision. Like, you are leaving money on the table, right? Sold out show. All of my tickets got refunded. All of our tickets got refunded, right? So I think if you were just looking at it from a financial standpoint, that could be like, oh, how could you possibly make that kind of a decision? And so I love that, publicly, no apologies if this show, for whatever reason, does not align with Pink's priorities at the time. She doesn't make apologies. She chooses herself over any financial gain that could have been had. And it just shows you can change your mind. And yes, that includes, you could be, in their cases, the stakes are higher, again, both financially, but also, disappointed fans. It happens. You're going to disappoint people along the way when you choose yourself. But if these successful women can be canceling their sold out shows and sold out tours with high stakes, both from again, financial state, but also from what are people going to say? What are people going to think? If they can make these tough decisions, so can you. So when it comes to Meghan Trainor, that one was a little bit, even bigger of a stake, because it wasn't just one show, 2 shows. She canceled the entire tour for a new album that she's releasing, which I was very excited to hear. And for her, she did provide an explanation on one of her Instagram stories, sharing how this just was not aligned with her priorities at the moment, especially and specifically now that they have a new baby girl. They've added so much more to their plate. Like, she's a working mom. Like, she is showing us what it looks like to be a working mom, wife, and the many other, hats that she wears and titles that she has. And so I just love this beautiful example of being able to change your mind and doing it publicly, no matter the consequences, and really showing what it looks like to choose yourself and to choose alignment with your values, your priorities, your capacity in the moment, over any financial gain, over fears of what are people going to say, or whatever else you might be thinking that's overshadowing you. Choosing yourself. So yes, of course, I'm disappointed that I won't be able to see both of these incredible artists live, but even with them canceling their shows, they continue to show me and inspire me in the kind of woman that I want to be. This self-leadership and self-confidence to choose myself publicly. So I want to ask you, what are you afraid of to cancel that you need to cancel? And what fear is keeping that alive? So are you afraid of disappointing people, of losing money? Is it missing out, being judged, admitting that you've changed? So what is that fear? Name it. Like, really name it, identify it. That's exactly what I had to do when I was afraid of making a change in my corporate career. I really had to come to terms with what was my fear so that I can start to combat it. And for me, I realized it wasn't just the surface level financial component of it. It was a much deeper rooted identity tied to the job. That identity was partly, what are people going to say? You've built a reputation. What are people going to say? That's partly it. But the other part of it is understanding that I was not recognizing my own self-worth outside of my accomplishments in the corporate world. So once I was able to distill, what am I afraid of? then I can start working towards a plan to start choosing myself, to start valuing my self-worth outside of whatever roles that I play. And so, I think that the other part of this is, I think as women, and I know that at least for me, this is what I internalized, whether it's from society, whether it's from just generationally, this idea that I need to be nice, I need to be relatable at all costs, like stay small, stay quiet, um, stick with the status quo, don't make waves, honor your commitments. But all of these things, guess what? Every yes that you say is a no to something else. So if you're saying, whatever you're saying, so think about that. What are you saying yes to? And then conversely, what does that mean? What are you saying no to by consequence? So for me, what did that look like? When I was saying yes to staying in a job that I knew wasn't aligned for me, then I was naturally saying no to chasing my dreams and finding out what a life could look like if I have a job or a career path that is much more aligned with my purpose and my interests. So that's a perfect example of, you're saying yes to one thing, but then that means you're saying no. So in the case of Meghan Trainor, because she did provide a little bit more explanation as to why she canceled her tour, if she had said yes to the tour, she was naturally saying no to spending more quality family time with her kids, and especially with her newborn baby girl. So really think about that, right? There's pros and cons, there's opportunity costs. So anytime that you are chasing one thing, you are naturally saying no to the other. So what are you saying yes to? And conversely, what are you saying no to? Is there something that you should be canceling? And if you're not canceling, why are you not canceling it? I hope this episode resonated with you, and hopefully you're also a fan of Meghan Trainor and Pink. And if not, you can still learn a thing or two from these incredible artists, incredible singers. And it shows you that, hey, if some of these people here are making decisions with very high stakes, very public, you can probably make a decision, and it's very likely going to be, the repercussions are going to be less than you anticipate. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this episode, what your thoughts are on your own reflections from this, and see you next time.